Hi, Ron. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks as well. So I'm just gonna get straight into it. Obviously, the purpose of my channel is to try help other people who are also on this journey of trying to become a professional footballer.
hmm
So why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, who you are, what you're currently doing?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Rehan, and I'm a mindset coach. I'm also a life coach and personal development mentor. And one of the things that I focus on is I help footballers along their journey. So I help guide them, mentor them, and really focus on the mindset aspect of their game and helping them not only thrive on the pitch, but also off the pitch in life in general. And that all started with me having this really strong passion when it comes to football. And, from the age of 4 years old, I think that was when I first started to play. And eventually it took me on this incredible journey of moving to France when I was very young and then playing over there, playing at the highest youth level, playing in professional environments and then playing semi-professionally and just having these incredible experiences. So yeah, all of that has led me to where I am today. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for joining. So when you're younger, you mentioned that you moved to France to pursue football.
hmm
So, like, what hit you? Like, when did you decide I want to become a professional footballer?
Yeah, I think like every kid has that dream at a young age, and I had that dream probably when I was about 8 or 9 years old. It was something that I really really loved. I was so passionate about the sport, and then I moved to an academy here in Canada where I'm originally from, and we would go on these trips. So we went to Mexico, we went to England and played against like Manchester City's academy, and we played against Burnley, and so I was getting all this exposure to these professional clubs and these professional environments. And I also went to Chile, played against Colo Colo's academy, and I realized like the football outside of Canada was so much more developed than it was in Canada. And then I realized I was like, if I want to make this dream come true, I have to do something different. So the exact moment when it happened was when I was 12 years old. This was on New Year's Day in 2015. I actually wrote down the goal and I said that I was going to move to Europe to pursue my dream of becoming a professional football player. And fast forward 6 months, I ended up moving to France. So that's how it all happened.
Sounds interesting. And obviously, I mean, you moved there at a young age. Did you move with your parents or?
No, I didn't move with my parents. My parents, they stayed back. I had my grandmother who lived there in France. So I stayed with her for 3 years. And then after that, she moved to Canada to be with the family. And then I stayed on my own.
So you moved there at a young age. Obviously, at your grandma at first, but not for long. What was it like? Like just moving to entirely different country, environment, culture. Obviously, you're there alone after a few years and there without your parents for a few years as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. It was very interesting. Looking back on it, obviously, like I think about the good things. But if I were to place myself back in those moments, yeah, it was tough. It was definitely tough. I like to the words that I like to use are chosen challenge because obviously I made the choice, right? But it was very, very challenging. I would miss my family a lot. I would cry myself to sleep in the beginning for like the first few months. There wasn't a single night where I didn't cry myself to sleep, literally. And yeah, it was a tough place to be and to navigate because you're in a different country, they're speaking a different language, it's a different culture. You have to make new friends, you have to, adapt to a whole new life. And yeah, it was tough, especially the fact that I wasn't that confident. I wasn't I had a lot of self-doubt. Was very shy and I took action despite of that. Like I did move to France despite having all of that because my dream was like that big. But yeah, I still carried all of those limitations with me. So yeah, it was a lot of work to break through all of that.
Yeah, and congrats.
Thank you.
Obviously, you did end up making it quite far up. And yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, you had low confidence moving there. And as you said, new culture and everything, all these new challenges. How did you cope with it, or how did you grow as a person? Maybe how that helped you in football?
Yeah, for sure. So it's interesting. It definitely pushed me. It pushed me. It could have pushed me in both directions. It could have made me be like, you know what, I'm done. I quit. I can't do this anymore. But I think my motivation was always there. I had a very strong why that kept me going. And that pushed me to really work extremely hard and to outwork my teammates and to really develop as a player. And then that also helped me as a human being, right? It helped build this discipline and this work ethic that I had inside. And, it ultimately it was something that just allowed me to grow. Like it's literally what it is. It just helped me grow. All of that helped me grow. And yeah, I think just looking back, because of the new environment, because of all of it, it forced me to find solutions. It forced me to look at things differently. It forced me to step out of my comfort zone and develop this confidence. And one thing that I love sharing is like, I had so much alone time, right? I had time where I was literally just on my own, whether that was, spending the evenings on my own or whatever it was. And that allowed me to just work on myself. It allowed me to develop a relationship with myself and understand who I was and who I am. And that is something that is priceless. Like if once you figure that out, there's a lot that changes in your life in a very, very good way.
And just to go back on that topic of confidence, confidence such a big thing, especially in the sport, outside of the sport. And you see all these top players, some of them, it's like make or break with the confidence. And the confidence, they can be the best player in the world. Without it, not so good. I've personally struggled with self-confidence in my game before, but when I had it, I felt like I was the best player that there was. So what can you say to like help other people help develop this confidence?
Yeah, confidence is such an important factor of the game, right? Like you said, a player can be super confident and be able to feel like they're the best player, and that'll actually show in their performance. Like when they're playing on the pitch, you can see that they're good because of how confident they are. And then that same player, if they're not playing with confidence, they're not able to shine, they're not able to play well, right? And that's all up here, it's all in the mind. And in order to develop that confidence, right, there are many things. There are many things that you need to do. First of all, you have to truly believe that you are good enough. And that comes from you proving it to yourself, right? If you're not putting in the work, and if when you're playing against other teammates and stuff like that during training, you're nowhere as good as they are, then it's hard to have that confidence, right? So there's an element of actually putting in the work and proving it to yourself. They call this like outworking your self-doubt, right? You have to almost put in so much work and prepare yourself in such a way where you know with all your heart that you're good enough and that you're a really good player. The second aspect of that is now the mindset part of it. Like, how do you train your mind to truly feel confident and be confident, right? And there are stages to that. The first way is you almost have to try and trick your mind into it, right? And you and I, we've talked about this before. It's like if you repeat to yourself again and again and again, right? And you keep telling yourself, I am confident, I am confident, I am confident. If you repeat that to yourself enough times, you'll actually start feeling more confident, right? And I invite anyone who's listening or watching this to try it out. Like just try it out. Just like literally just say, I am confident. Repeat that to yourself 50 times. And you'll see a difference from before when you first started saying it out loud to the end. Because there's something that our brain does. It's chemical, right? When we keep repeating something to ourselves consciously, we're actually printing it out in our subconscious mind and it starts becoming a part of who we are, right? Which is why things like affirmations and Rish, you know this pretty well, like it's a big deal. It helps. Um, so yeah, I used to do that all the time. I used to say affirmations. I used to tell myself I am happy, healthy, confident, and strong. And like I would even say I am the best player in my age group in the whole country. Like that's what I would say. Even though I wasn't, but I knew that I was working towards it, and it slowly started to manifest itself because I went from, playing on the B and the C team to then becoming the captain of my team competing at the highest youth level in France, which is a huge difference, right? And that's in the span of 2 years. And sure, I might have improved technically, I might have improved tactically, but ultimately the biggest shift that happened was my mindset.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we had spoken before you introduced me to affirmations when I had my struggle in confidence, and that's when I saw the biggest shift. And I think it reaches a point where you don't even need them anymore. Like me personally, I've stopped saying them, but I've still developed that internal confidence. I feel like I'm playing my best football right now.
Yeah, because you've printed it out into your subconscious, right? It's now part of who you are. Because you've said it enough times, then you started to feel it, and then once you started to feel it enough, you started to just live it. It became who you are, right? And there's something about that, like you get to choose who you are, you get to choose your identity, you get to choose how you feel. And not everyone understands that. People will be like, yeah, I'm not a confident person, and that's who they are. But as soon as you make that statement about yourself, then that's what's going to be your truth. But if you flip it around, you get to write your own story, you get to write your own truth. And if you want to be a confident person, then you say that you are a confident person and you'll become a confident person.
Yeah, and just as you said, going back on the topic of outworking your doubt, where does that start? What like skills or what do you need to do that?
The biggest thing that people talk about is discipline, right? You need to have discipline. You need to be willing to outwork anyone. There's this quote that I have used pretty much for as long as I can remember, and it says, "You must do what others won't to achieve what people don't." And that quote right there is everything. If you have a very big dream, and for all footballers out there, if your dream is to become a professional player, like you have to understand there are 250 million footballers in the world, okay? Registered footballers in the world. Out of those 250 million, there's like 130,000 of them or something like that that are professional, which is 0.05%. And we're talking like that's all over the world, okay? So in all these different countries, that could be in Jamaica, South Africa, the United States, China, Japan, like everywhere, okay? And out of those players, like the percentages that play in the Champions League and play in the World Cup, we're talking about 0.001%. Like it's very, very small. So if you want to be part of that 0.001%, you have to be doing what only that 0.001% is willing to do. You have to be doing what other people are not willing to do to achieve the things that you want to achieve. Because everyone's going to train. Everyone's putting in the work, right? Maybe most players are even like going for runs and doing extra workouts and stuff. But what are you doing differently that's going to set you apart? And you you need to take the time and put in the work and put in the time and effort into building out your craft, right? So outworking, that whole self-doubt thing, it all comes from that. It's like you need to put in the time and it has to be purposeful. It's not just you going onto the pitch like on your own and kicking the ball around. It's no, it's saying, look, these are my weak points. These are my areas that I can improve. I'm going to work on them, right? So you go to training. When you're going to train on your own, you're going to spend an hour where you're working on that specific thing. You're being very purposeful about it because, and this is a long game too. It's a very, very long journey. There are years and years and years of work that have to go into it. And like the way I like to use this rule, it's called the 10,000 rule. So it's either 10,000 hours or 10,000 repetitions of something. If we were to take the 10,000 hour rule, it means that for you to master the game, for you to become really, really good at the game, you have to spend 10,000 hours playing the game. Okay? So if you do the calculations, if you were to like train for 3 hours a day, every single day of the year without taking a single rest day, and you were to do that for 10 years, okay, you wouldn't be at 10,000 hours yet, just to give you an idea. That's taking zero rest days. That is training 3 hours a day every single day, 365 days in a year for 10 years, that doesn't even get you to 10,000 hours. So understanding these things really help put things into perspective so that you really understand like, okay, there are levels to this. I really, really need to work hard. I really need to push myself.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you hear these stories of like Vinicius and Ronaldo training for hours a day. And I mean, it showed at a point Ronaldo was the best player in the world for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Vinicius has been one of the best players of the world recently. So, just back to your development and training, what did a typical day look like for you in senior and youth football?
Yeah, so if I were to outline a specific day, or any day, it was waking up pretty early. I would say between 5:30 to 6 a.m. Going for a run, doing a workout before I went to school. This is when I was in school, by the way. So this is like probably maybe when I was 16 years old. Um, so yeah, I do that, do my workout, everything. Have maybe a quick bite to eat before I went to school. School in France was pretty long, so school would go from about 8 a.m. to about 5:30 p.m. And then at 5:30, I'd have training, so I'd go and train in the evenings. Um, and I'd do some extra work on my own, like some extra ball work or fitness or something like that, depending on what I needed to work on. And then I'd do my homework and then I'd go to bed. Like that was pretty much a day. It was different at different years because the like, timings and training and everything was different. But yeah, so there was a time when I was in a soccer school, for example. It was like a football school, where I had school in the morning and then I had football training in the afternoon with the school. And then in the evenings, I had training with the club. So those days I was training easily 5 hours a day because I'd wake up early in the morning, do my own stuff, work out, go for my run. Then I'd have training in the afternoons with the school program, and then in the evenings I'd have training with my club. So yeah, that was typically that. It was waking up early, getting in some workout, something in, going to school, and then after that training even more, and then finishing homework and stuff. And then when I got older, that's when it was different. Sometimes training was in the morning, sometimes training was in the afternoon. But I tried to keep a pretty stable schedule in the sense, yeah, same thing. Wake up really early, do my workout, go to the gym, go for a run, something like that. And then either I'd have training right away or I'd just do my work, work on my business, work on all this stuff. And then I'd have training and then come home, have dinner. Yeah, typical day.
So, I mean, that's pretty busy day.
Hmm.
How did you like balance that with like other commitments? Obviously, you still need to uh be in touch with friends. You need to be in touch with your family. You are in an entirely different country, different time zone. Then obviously, as you said, schoolwork is there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was all about like being able to balance my time, right? And I honestly I just used a calendar. I used the calendar. If you were to look at my calendar now, it's the same thing. I have everything scheduled in, everything. And that helps keep me disciplined because I like to function where in a way where I don't have to think about what I need to do. It's already planned in my calendar and I know what the next thing is, right? So yeah, that's definitely it's helped me a lot. So they call it like time management or time blocking, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, just put it in your calendar, like, okay, I'm doing this at this time, this at this time, and you give yourself different tasks that you need to do at different times of the day. And yeah, you can schedule everything in there, stay organized, and still create time for yourself to be able to do all these other things, like be in touch with your family, spend time with your friends, have a balanced lifestyle, like make your food, eat your meals, like everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And like obviously every journey, everyone needs help from a person or two or more. Sometimes you need a whole community to support you. Do you feel like you've received, or is there anyone significant who really impacted you, helped you to get to where you got to?
Yeah, no, for sure. I like to feel like I've always had family around me, even though it wasn't like the family I was born into. So obviously I've always had the support of my family, my parents, my sister, my grandmother, even my cousins and my aunts, my uncles, everyone. I've always had their love and their support, which has been super great. The coaches that I've had, especially like, here in Canada, there's one coach that I'm still in touch with, and who's been a very, very big part of my journey, as well as the coaches that I had in France. Like they were my mentors, they were the people guiding me. I didn't have like a paternal figure who was there with me physically in France. So all these people, they were really a big part of that. I also had like my friends. My friends in France became my family as well. Literally became my brothers and sisters, because I didn't have that physical family presence. So the people I'd latch on to, they were the ones that I got really close with, and they were genuinely like family to me, and they supported me in the biggest ways. Some friends like let me stay at their place when I didn't have a place to stay. Some of them, would invite me over for family dinners when, they were having get-togethers and stuff. So I really felt a huge sense of support that way, for sure. Um, and it's something that, it's tough because the football journey is quite individual. It can be quite lonely. So to have a very nice support group in terms of family around you, even if it's outside of football, even if it has nothing to do with the sport, they might not be helping you on your football journey. It's nice to have that balance and to feel that love, around you.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I don't know, obviously that counts as a setback. I mean, it's an individual journey, but if sometimes you don't have that support, it's difficult mentally. And I don't know, did you maybe go through anything significant or a story you'd like to share of a setback that you had to overcome, how you overcame it, for maybe someone who's also going through a long-term injury at the moment?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think injuries are, sorry, I just got a call. I think injuries are a very, very big, they're a big factor in a footballer's journey, right? Like it's almost inevitable. It's almost inevitable. So I've had a fair share of injuries and stuff like that. The probably the biggest one that I had was a shoulder dislocation where I had a labrum tear and one of like a bit of my cartilage was fractured. And yeah, at first it happened and it literally happened with me just playing pickup. Like it wasn't even me like doing proper training or anything like that. It happened playing pickup. I got sandwiched by two guys and I fell on my arm and it just knocked out. And yeah, excruciating pain. But I didn't like, I went to physio and stuff, but never thought that I would need to get surgery. But then every month at one point, it was just dislocating again and again and again. And that pain was just so much like I wouldn't be able to play for a really long time after it would dislocate again. So at one point, I remember I was actually on trial and it dislocated while I was on trial. And I said, yeah, that's it. Like I need to get this fixed. I need to get the surgery done. So yeah, went back to Canada, got my surgery done and everything. And it's funny, it was on paper, it would have been probably like the hardest point in my life, because I got the surgery done. I'd also just broken up with my ex-girlfriend, who I'd been with for like 3.5 years. So on paper, it's like, oh my God, like there's all these things. Um, but I I actually dealt with it pretty well. And I think that's because of an accumulation of all these tools and things that I've developed over time and the person who I was in terms of just having the right mindset and being able to go about it in a way where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna recover from this, I'm gonna bounce back and I'm gonna, make something happen. So yeah, it was a setback. It was tough, but then at the same time, I understood that look, I can only control what I can control, right? And I can control what I do in terms of physio, rehab, my healing, what I eat, how I, hydrate myself, my rest, everything. And if I can take care of everything, then I can speed up my recovery. So instead of taking 6 months to recover, and that's what the doctors were saying, right? 6 months to be back on the pitch. I was back to playing within 3 months. Like it was very, very quick. And my shoulder has been healthy and very good. Like it's been really good. So yeah, I mean, it's it was a setback, but at the same time, like if you're able to turn your setbacks into opportunities, to go back even stronger, then you can. Because after that injury, I went back to France, found a club, signed with the club in the sixth division, then moved up to the fifth division, then got promoted to the fourth division. Like had this whole journey after that. So, you never know what's on the other end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and I think like bouncing back is really important because I mean something is always bound to go off plan, not the way you wanted.
Yeah,
So yeah.
definitely.
And just going on to your life as a professional footballer when you entered the fourth division, what's something surprising that you thought like, oh, a professional lives this way? All of us have this idea of how a professional lives, but obviously that's not the reality of it. So what was different that people might find shocking?
So I'll paint the picture for you. Imagine a little kid who has this dream, right, of playing professional football, and they love the sport. Like they absolutely love the sport. That's all they've seen themselves doing. That's all they want to do in life. Like it's everything. Football is everything, right? Football is life. So imagine a kid like that who goes on this journey and everything, and then at some point starts climbing up the ladder, improving, getting better, playing at a more competitive level, and can really feel it coming, like can feel the opportunities coming, is also getting opportunities in other countries to play like professionally in Dubai, professionally in like countries like Cyprus and Greece, okay? So it's right there. It's right there. But then this player actually realizes that, he doesn't love the game anymore. He actually doesn't enjoy playing anymore. And like he has training, he doesn't want to go to training. It's game day, he's selected for the match, but he's telling his coach that he can't make it because he's not feeling well, even though he's feeling fine. And instead is going to play pickup with his friends that same day. Okay? That was some of the reality for me. It got to a point where I genuinely I didn't enjoy going to training. I didn't enjoy playing my games and my matches and stuff. It wasn't something that I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited. This is everything that I've ever wanted." It wasn't like that. I was turning down opportunities to go play professionally abroad because it didn't feel right. And that was a sign, it was a sign for sure. And I think the thing is I put a lot of pressure on myself. Put a lot of pressure on myself to make it happen, to make this dream come true. And along the way, I lost my love for the game and I lost my passion for the game. And I felt disconnected to the sport, right? So, yeah, the reality might be like, once you get there, everything that you've ever worked for, you just go for it. But sometimes your passions change and they shift. And the one thing that I did learn along my journey is that you do not want to lose the love for the game. And putting a lot of pressure on yourself to make it as a professional footballer is actually more detrimental to your journey and to your career as a footballer than it is to just have fun in the moment and enjoy it and just give it your all, you know? Those are two very different perspectives. So, yeah, if I were to look back and everything, that was the one thing that I can take a lesson from and learn and be like, well, you know what? It's okay. Like, it's not about putting the pressure on yourself and saying that you have to do this. And if you don't do this, then you're nobody. Like, then you suck. No, 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 no. Like, it's okay. Just put in the work, do your thing, believe in yourself, push yourself as far as you can, but do it for you and live in the moment and enjoy the present moment, enjoy the journey. Don't make it a whole thing of like none of it matters unless I make it as a professional. No, the moment right now it matters, right? So just live in it. That was the biggest takeaway that I had, and that was the biggest reality check that I had as I was going on my journey.
Yeah, I think I can also feel for that as well, because I recently had a conversation with one of my flatmates, because I'm currently in uni living in a hall, and he is also like a footballer, and he was telling me like, look, if you're not having fun, then there's no point really. And he told me this when I had a trial for a Division 9 team here in the UK, and I just didn't enjoy the training session. It was a bit of a different environment, and the way they treated me, as especially as a trialist, obviously, like I thought they would be more accommodating, which they weren't, and it just made me really uncomfortable. Whereas another team that I'm currently looking to go to plays at lower division, but the way the manager talks to me, has been messaging me, makes it very accommodating, friendly, and I'm actually looking forward to go train with his team. Whereas with this guy, I was a bit skeptical, and yeah, just like I got told by my friend, I think it's just about having fun.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's the aspect that you want to make it, but if you're not having fun whilst doing it, then what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the environment that you're in is so important as well. Like it is being in an environment that allows you to thrive, that pushes you, but at the same time makes you feel comfortable enough. Finding that balance is like the biggest thing. It really is.
Yeah. And so, for example, let's say you're a footballer, young footballer, you have the ability, you have the confidence that you have the ability, but lack the opportunities or feel like you're not getting the opportunities to actually find a club, make a bit of a name for yourself so you can actually get your career going. What
Hmm.
would you say that to help those guys?
Yeah, take things into your own hands. Take control of your situation. Football, a big part of it is about who you know. So yeah, like just network, connect with people. And that can literally start off by you just talking to your friends and your family and just saying, look, um, I'm playing football right now. I want to make it as far as possible. I'm looking to connect with people in the football world, right? Do you know of anyone, or do you know of anyone who might know anyone? And it just starts there, right? It starts there. You'll start building connections, and then you'll go from there. Like, reach out to clubs, like learn more about the system, learn more about how football works around the world. Use platforms like LinkedIn, for example. You create a LinkedIn account, you can network with so many people. There are like thousands and thousands of agents, coaches, scouts, professional players, semi-professional players who are on, LinkedIn and other platforms, and you can find their contact information, you can message them, connect with them, and just take things into your own hands, and that's how you're going to be able to create opportunities for yourself. Because unfortunately, there's a very small percentage of people who will get the opportunity, like the opportunity will come to them. But then for the other players, you have to create them yourselves, right? And you have to take things into your own hands. And yeah, so I would just say take control, do your absolute best to just connect with as many people as possible. Maybe set a goal, like say I'm going to connect with 10 new people every week, right? Because then think about it, by the end of the year, you have 520 new contacts, right?
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, just like be resourceful, right? It's not about how much you have, it's about how much you can get, right? So you can just start building on it right now.
yeah. And I think just to give a bit more of a reality to what you said is majority of the time you'll contact these guys and you'll probably get rejected. That's
Hmm.
something I've experienced whilst I've been here in the UK. I've been contacting clubs, looking for a club. Also, it's not an ideal time for a club to be looking for a player. So
Yeah.
that's contributed a bit to it. But I've contacted clubs that told me, no, look, we're just not looking for any players right now. So yeah, I mean, the chances of you getting one is still low, but that's the thing is that if you don't do it, then chances are always at 0%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If let's say your percentage of your success rate of getting a response is 1%. That means in order for you to get one response, you have to send out 100 messages, right? Um, and if you send out zero messages, then your success rate will be zero, like you said. So, would you rather send out 100 messages to get one good response or send out zero messages and get zero responses? If you want it bad enough, you'll send out the 100 messages. In fact, you might even send out 1,000.
Yeah, for sure. And sorry, just going back on what you said earlier,
Hmm.
your passion recently shifted
Yeah.
from football. How important would you say it is to develop your skill set, knowledge outside of football? Because many young athletes, maybe they don't care about school, they don't want to do school, just trying to go all in football without actually giving the rest that life has to offer.
Yeah, I would say here's what I'd say to that. If you're passionate about football, go for it. Go for it and you go for it all in, right? I did it. I went all in. I didn't have a plan B. This, like what I'm doing right now, this wasn't plan B. Um, what I would say though is you have to start off by understanding what your purpose and your mission is in life, right? Once you understand that, then you can fulfill that mission in many different ways. So, let's say you want to become a footballer so that you can provide for your family, right? Providing for your family, that is your mission. That is your purpose. So then you'll understand that, let's say for whatever reason football doesn't work out, then when you make that decision to take a step back from the game, your mission and purpose is still the same. It's still to serve your family and give back to your family. So you're gonna go and do something that's gonna help you do that, right? So just understand what your mission is, understand what that purpose is. That's the biggest thing. And then whether it's through learning, education, whatever it is, the biggest thing is not about what you do, it's about who you are. Develop yourself as a person. That is the biggest skill. If you learn more and you're able to have more skills as a person, you're able to have a more variety, like a bigger variety of tools in your toolbox and skills that you can then give to people and ways that you can be of service, then you're improving who you are, and then you'll never have to worry ever, right? And that goes with like mindset, leadership, self-leadership, um, self-care, self-love, like all of that stuff. If you're able to really develop yourself as a strong person, you have a really strong foundation to then build on, right? So always keep that in mind. It's not about the things that you do, it's about who you are. And once you develop yourself into the person that you want to be, like the absolute best version of yourself, then you become unstoppable. And no matter what direction you take in life, you're going to be okay because you're going to have that self-confidence. You're going to trust yourself. You're going to have that self-belief to be able to go out and do whatever it is that you want to do, right? Um, to give you my example and my story, being a footballer is such an ambitious goal, right? It's a really, really ambitious goal. And I had that goal and everything, and then eventually it shifted, and now my goal is so much bigger than becoming a professional footballer. In fact, I've gone into something that is even harder to do because I've set this target for myself where I want to help billions of people, billions with a B, right? That is so much more outgoing and ambitious than it is to become a professional footballer. But because I am confident in myself and I have that self-belief, I'm willing to go for it, right? Whether I reach that target or not or surpass it, I don't know. But I feel confident enough to go on that journey and to embark on that mission because it serves this purpose that I have of just helping people, right? I want to make the world a better place. So always remember what that mission is, always remember what that purpose is, and do your best to just develop who you are and you'll be okay.
And just for a real life context or example, what exactly are you doing right now outside of football to help you achieve your goal?
Yes, there are many, many avenues. For example, there's a lot of philanthropy. So I'm going to be going to Kenya, for example, in April, end of March to end of April. And over there, I'm going to be doing a few things. So I'm going to be hosting some workshops. So these are workshops that are dedicated to help people reignite their authentic selves, right? So this is all about connecting with themselves, discovering who they truly are, and reawakening that inner child that they have, which is their purest version of themselves. So we're going to be doing that. We're also organizing an African Youth Leadership Summit. So this is an event for teenagers. It's going to be a 4-day event that's open to the entire African continent. And we're going to have like hundreds of kids from all over Africa who are going to be attending this. And it's going to be in Kenya. And this is just to help them develop leadership skills, unlock opportunities for themselves, and see what the possibilities are to really ignite their potential so that they can go out and do amazing things in the world and then also give back to their communities. And then I also work with an organization in Kenya called VSA. They help disadvantaged children who live in like slums. These are like orphans as well. And it helps them, they help, like the organization helps them through education and also through football. And I've been supporting them for about 11 years now. And there's a team of us that are going. We're going to be giving out donations, fundraising for them, and helping them out, helping them with their feeding program, building their resource center, their shelters, and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's one thing that's happening this year amongst many other things. But yeah, it's just step by step doing these things, and eventually it'll grow into something really big.
And yeah, I mean, lastly, where can the viewers follow you and your journey, continue seeing what you're up to?
Yeah, so for all my footballers, you can find me on Instagram at Rehan Rayani. So my first name, last name, on TikTok as well at Rehan_Rayani. And then I also have a community for footballers. It's to help footballers along their journey. So all of my courses and training programs and everything, it's all going to be there. I'll do like, calls, monthly calls, if not even more frequently. There are giveaways in there. There's like a bunch of stuff. It's a really cool community and it's just starting to be built out. And that's at mysoccerjourney.net. Mysoccerjourney.net. That's what it is. And yeah, I think there's a 30-day free trial, so you can get it for free for 30 days, cancel any time. After that, it's $10 a month. So yeah, and you can cancel after 30 days. You can go in for 30 days, get all the knowledge and the value, and then you can leave if you want. But yeah, it's all there, it's all available. There are a bunch of things like how to create opportunities for yourself. There's like a full detailed course on that. And you can access it all for free for 30 days. So yeah, if you're interested in that, go for it.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me.